I was 16 the year my father died, and I was working at the cement plant lifting heavy bags of concrete all day long to earn some money. I drove a Toyota Celica that I paid $200 for, and it was definitely a $200 car. I think I must have been working off the books because I didn't get a regular paycheck. Someone would hand me $30 in cash here and there, and that was enough to keep oil in my car. Yes, I said oil in my car, not gas, because every 10 miles I had to stop and add oil to the engine because that's how much burned up or leaked out. Leaking oil wasn't the only problem with my car. To start it, you had to open the hood, force open the carburetor with a rag wrapped in string, crank the engine, and yank the rag out really fast once the car started. I never thought too much about what my dream car was, but that was about to change. I also worked for the Job Corps in addition to my time at the cement plant, so occasionally I had to go to the Corps of Engineers office at Pomona Lake for training. One day, I decided to take the country back roads for a change of scenery, and as I was driving, I caught a glimpse of something in the grass. I must have had a vision because somehow I knew that rusty piece of metal sticking out of the tall grass was the rear quarter panel of a '69 Camaro. I drove on to my training, but I made mental note of where this farm was, and on the way back, I stopped and knocked at the door. "Is that a '69 Camaro?" I nervously asked the man who answered the door. "Yes, my grandson totaled it, and he left it here years ago." "It might be yours if you want it," he responded. I asked if I could look at the car, and to my delight, I discovered that the car was in perfect condition. From the front door to the back, I mean perfect, a small block 327 bored out for racing, and a 12-volt 411 Positrack 350 turbo automatic with a B&M shift kit, US racing slots all around, 50 series tires on the back, 70s on the front, all Revengers. This was one bad car fed by a 750 double-barrel pumper Holley carburetor. I knew this stuff. But if you don't, let me just say it was a sweet ride with an emphasis on the was, because the front end had been driven through a house. So I asked, "How much for the car?" The man said he wanted $450 for it, which was a good price since the engine was worth more than that. I asked him if I could make payments, and the deal was struck. My $30 here and there from the cement plant, along with my pay from Job Corps, and anything else I could scrape together from friends, went toward that rusting vehicular dream sitting in the grass near Pomona Lake. Finally, the day arrived when it was all mine, and I made arrangements to pull that car home. That's when my obsession began. That car became everything to me for 3 years. Every minute I wasn't working, I was looking for parts. I found a part here and a part there until I had both new fenders. Then I found a bumper. Piece by piece I worked until I had the front end restored. Then I primed and sanded the body so it was all ready to paint. I put new carpet on the inside and hand painted a mural on the fender well. I painted the engine orange, and it was so clean you could have eaten dinner off of it. I didn't have much in my life, but I had this dream, this car I was going to drive to prom my senior year. It was a great dream. I could clearly see myself pulling up with my date in my metallic midnight blue '69 Camaro with silver rally stripes. But that never happened. I came so close, and it wasn't for a lack of effort. But I just ran out of time. That August, college started. I had scholarships that covered my tuition and meals, but I had no started selling parts off of my car. I started with the carburetor. It was worth a few $100s, so my carburetor became my first books at college. Tearing the car apart piece by piece started to tear me apart, so I knew I had to sell what was left intact. I felt like I'd lost a family member as I watched my car drive away. I don't know if everyone has that kind of relationship with the first car that they love, but I was heartbroken. Fortunately, life goes on and I finished college, married my wife, and I had a child. I became a teacher, and then I became an educational consultant. Once things were better financially, I had a new vision of what our next car should be. Even though I still dreamed about that Camaro, I knew that shouldn't be our next vehicle. When I met my wife, Michelle, she was driving a Plymouth Duster, the 318. I fell in love with her because of the way she popped that clutch. There was something so rock and roll about the way she drove that car. So a few years ago, I found the new Dodge Challenger, and I thought that it looked like her old Duster. I took Michelle to the car lot, and we came home with her dream car. I'm a little slow to learn some lessons, but this is one I took to heart a long time ago, and it has served me well. Always take care of her first. Her dream needs to be your dream. She loved her car so much, and not surprisingly, it didn't take long for her to say, "Go get your car." Fortunately, that year the 2010 Camaro came out, and it looked like the 69. It was so cool. I didn't go crazy and buy a brand new one with the V8. Instead, I bought a used one with some miles on it and a V6 engine, but I had my car. Before I sold the 69 Camaro, I took Michelle for a country drive in it. We had been dating for a while, and I thought I could impress her with this cool car I rebuilt. Unfortunately, the car died several times because I'd sold the good carburetor and replaced it with a piece of junk. Out of embarrassment and frustration, I hit the windshield and broke it. Losing your mind in front of the girl you think you might marry someday is not something I would recommend. But luckily, I didn't scare her off. So we were able to go back that same eastern Kansas road with the new Camaro and finish our romantic drive. It was one of the coolest moments in my life. I had to wait a long time to finish that drive, but I realized that if I was patient, things can come full circle. Instead of taking out a loan that I couldn't afford while I was in school, I waited. This ability to forestall the things you want, to hold on, to wait, and to do it right. That's the difference between success and failure. Yes, I'm a gnarled old man now, driving a 2010 Camaro, but when I drive it, I'm 16 again, and that's what really matters.